Hey everyone, welcome back to I Dream of Homestead. I'm Josefina and today we're back in the kitchen making tacos al albañil. This recipe is a great way to get super flavorful tacos that don't take a lot of work or a lot of ingredients. For this recipe, you're going to need 2.5 pounds of skirt steak, 12 ounces of bacon, 1 sliced onion, 2 to 3 sliced jalapeños, 5 roasted tomatoes, 6 roasted garlic, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of chipotle powder, salt, pepper, and some oil. To roast the tomatoes and garlic, I just stuck them under the broiler in high heat for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how high your broiler setting gets. I did leave the garlic cloves with the peel still on, so that again, like I've said in previous videos, this keeps the garlic itself from getting burnt and allows it to get nice and sweet and roasty on the inside. Once those are done roasting, you set those aside to cool while we prep the rest of the ingredients. Before I start cooking the meat and the bacon, which get cooked first, I'm gonna slice up all of my vegetables and then slice up my meat. So my phone deciding not to record seems to be a theme for my videos, but as you can tell by my eyes and my sniffles, I did cut the onions. I cut it in half and then basically cut it in quarters and slice them from there. So my slices are about this long and this thin. With onions, I know some people don't really care to have large chunks of it, but my recipes are just guidelines. So if you don't like the way an onion tastes when it is that long or that thick or thin, you can dice it up, you can make it chunkier, you can mince it up, you can do it whatever way to fit your tastes. So up next, I'm going to slice up some jalapenos. I've already gone through and sliced them in half long ways, and then I remove the seeds and the ribs just because I don't want little bits of seeds all throughout these tacos. If you don't want the heat of jalapenos in your tacos, you can switch it up for any of your favorite green peppers. I think a great substitution for this would actually be a poblano pepper. Those are generally not spicy at all. Occasionally they are a little bit mild. So they'll give it just a little bit of a kick without it burning your mouth. I'm gonna set those to the side along with the onions. And I'm putting them over here on the tray with my tomatoes and garlic, just so that I can transfer this over really easily to the stove. Now I'm gonna peel all of my garlic that I had roasted under the broiler. And this is what they look like once you've peeled them. So now I'm going to mince these up nicely. I like to give them a little mash with my knife. It's so easy when it's been roasted like this. You just kind of lightly press your knife against it and slide it back. All right, I'll put that off to the side away from the onions and jalapenos because those are gonna cook at a separate time than the tomatoes and the garlic will. And for the tomatoes, I'll just cut those in half and give those a rough chop. If you let them cool down prior to chopping them up, it'll keep the juices inside of the tomato so that it doesn't go spilling everywhere, and you get to mix that into the meat. Roasting these ahead of time really makes all the difference because it releases all of the sweetness that's in the tomato and just gives it that nice, really yummy roasty flavor. All right, now that this is chopped, I'm gonna move this over to the pan with the garlic. This is what those vegetables look like now. We've got the mashed up garlic, the tomatoes, the onions, and the jalapenos. I've rinsed off my cutting board and now I'm gonna move on to cutting up the bacon and the meat. For the bacon, I'm just going to slice it up into some chunks. You can do these as big or as small as you like. It all depends on what size bite you want when you're eating your tacos. Next, I've got my skirt steak. I'm gonna cut that in half and stack it on top of each other. And then I'm gonna cut it into some slices going this way. Right now, the slices are about this thin. And they are gonna get chopped some more. This just helps for me to get it to the size bite that I want it. Now that I've got them sliced this way, I'm going to turn the meat to the side. So now they are laying this way, and I'm going to cut them into small bite-sized chunks. And these are the size chunks that I've got. So I'm going to move on to cutting the last two that I have here. So I've moved everything over to the stove and I've got my cast iron heating on about medium low. So now I'm gonna add the bacon and let that cook. I'm not adding any oil to the pan just because the bacon is gonna release all of its fat. And that'll be the oil that I'm using to keep the meat and the vegetables from sticking. Now that it's about halfway cooked and rendering out the fat, I'm gonna add in the skirt steak. Now at this point, I'm also gonna add in the teaspoon of chipotle powder and teaspoon of cumin powder. And pepper. I'm gonna stir it in well and let that sear. The meat did release a lot of juices, but I let that cook out. And now that it's cooked down, the meat is searing. So I'm gonna give it just another minute before I start adding in the vegetables. Now that the meat has a good sear on it, I'm gonna add in the onions and jalapenos. The onion and the jalapeno have been cooking for about 3 minutes now, so I'm gonna add in the tomato and the garlic. And stir that in well. At this point, I'm just adding in a little bit of salt because the bacon is already salty. And you don't want to overdo it. The tomato and the garlic got mixed in and cooked for about a minute. Since those were already roasted in the oven, they don't need a whole lot of time in here, just enough to marry and mix in well. And that's it for the meat. So now I'm going to move on to heating up some tortillas and serving. my God. So I've got my comal heated up. I'm gonna add the tortillas and get those heated up. My God. This is so good. The tomatoes give it this nice roasty sweetness. The garlic adds to that sweetness, balances out the little bit of a kick that you get from the jalapenos. And then the bacon smokiness added in with the meat. Oh my God. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I hope you're willing to stick around with me for a while and hit that subscribe button to join me on this journey to becoming a homesteader. I'll see you soon.